going on, everybody? My name is C4. Welcome back to more C4, and I don't think there's a better way to start off this Monday at the conclusion of the 2025 NFL Scouting Combine than doing a full, new, updated 7-round Philadelphia Eagles mock draft, and now we can refer to the RAS scores to find out who the best of the best athletes are. As it pertains to the Philadelphia Eagles, high RAS scores, high-level athletes has kind of been a major part of the turn of Howie Roseman as a drafter. Once upon a time, let's you youngins that maybe watch this, Howie was terrible at drafting. We literally could not draft to save our life, and it feels like the last couple years we have certainly kind of shored up that department. I think a big element to that is we are drafting big-time athletes. We've kind of moved away from maybe the more technical guys, and we're like, you know what, let's get traits and trust that our coaching staff's going to be able to coach these guys up. The players that we have ticked here all either stood out at the combine or ended up posting a huge RAS score, which is your relative athletic score. I'm going to reference that a lot on this channel as I relate to draft content. It's just a measurement of your athletic traits in comparison to your position and other players historically at your same position. Essentially, it's like, easy way to put it, a Madden rating based off purely your athleticism. A 0 is terrible, a 10 is awesome. And the Philadelphia Eagles, we're just going to go from this 2021 period up, because that's been version 2.0 of Howie Roseman seemingly. Look at all the draft picks that either have had a standout combine, like Kyron Johnson had a ridiculously fast 40 time. Keely Rango just missed out of a 9 RAS, but at most of the things tested out very well. Every other player, Milton Williams, put up historic athletic testing. Jordan Davis is still the #1 defensive tackle based off of RAS. He has a perfect 10. Cam Jurgens is one of the highest, most athletic centers of all time. Ojomo, Tanner McKee, Sidney Brown, Tyler Steen, Nolan Smith, all those guys are in the 9 of RAS. There's not a lot of them that go around. Like, you might get 10-ish prospects if you're lucky at a given year at a given position that will go over a 9 RAS. Some of them, like guards and interior linemen, that's kind of rare. It's even less. But we have been valuing athletes. Johnny Wilson, Trevor Keegan, Will Shipley, Jalen Hunt, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, all posted elite testing. I think Jeremiah Trotter Jr. also was a 9.3. So those are athletes. So I think when we start now, we have this data looking towards mock drafts and what prospects the Philadelphia Eagles will be keying in on. High RAS players, 9+ overall athletes. So kind of view that as like S tier athletes, A+ tier athletes. Those are players that are certainly going to be high on Howie Roseman's board. All right, here we go. Philadelphia on the clock at pick 32 here for a 7-round post-combine mock draft. Our last mock draft we brought on the channel, I did Jihad Campbell to the Philadelphia Eagles. I think these mock drafts they're cool, they're fun. Like, this is a great time to do it out of the combine, but for the Philadelphia Eagles, I think it's impossible. They're probably the most impossible team to do a mock draft for because there's so many if, ands, maybes. Bond here? Zach Bond coming back? If he is, that's going to change how I draft. Is Mekhi Becton gone? That might change how we're going to draft if they want competition for Tyler Steen. Is Lane Johnson playing for like another 2 more years? That's what it seems like. If that's the case, would be a wasteful investment, I think, to get a tackle early. There's still great tackles late. Definitely want to prioritize getting another young tackle on the roster. Right? Is Kenny Gainwell going to come back? You know, is Slay gone? Is he done for sure? Milton Williams is gone, right? So we're going to need an interior pass rush help. But is Josh Sweat leaving? Are we going to get Myles Garrett or what's? There's so much uncertainty that once we get a little bit more clarity, I'm going to have a lot more fun doing this because then it's going to be more easy to identify where I need to move these pieces to rebuild the Philadelphia Eagles. But I think I'd love to get someone different from the mock draft they did the other. But to back it up with RAS scores, I think Jihad Campbell is the guy. Don't even view him as a linebacker. View him as defensive weapon. Just as many scouts have him projected as an edge rusher as they do a linebacker. So look at these trades here real quick for the 2nd round before we kind of break this pick down a little bit. And absolutely not. There's no value there. So when you take a look at Jihad Campbell, look at how he played. So 81 PFF grade. He had almost 100 pass rush snaps, 350 run, 330 coverage, 89 tackles, missed tackles 7, which is relatively decent in comparison to some of the other top-end linebackers. This is Zach Bond of college football. He's a more athletic Zach Bond. So comparing the two from an athletic standpoint, it feels like it's about to be a no contest. Now, Jihad Campbell needs to you get the bench vert and the shuttle and 3-cone will almost certainly do that at Alabama's Pro Day. I mean, even at worst, if that drops it down a little bit, he's still going to be probably a 9.5 plus RAS. Just different specimen of athlete in comparison to what we have in Zach Bond. But the versatility is the same. And I think the difference is, if we just make the assumption that Jahad Campbell will likely be a Zach Bond replacement if we lose Zach Bond, that you don't even need to explain that. Yes, that's what we need. That is such an integral part of what made this defense work. But say we bring back Zach Bond. Just as many scouts saw from the 110-ish pass rush reps, where they used Jahad Campbell as a blitzer, as a pass rusher, that they said that this guy can develop as a pass rusher in the mold of a Nolan Smith. So I think this is not just it's 100% that you get this guy because we lose Zach Bond. Even if we keep Zach Bond, having Jahad Campbell work in as a pass rush, in that hybrid linebacker pass rush role, having that in his bag, which is an integral part of a Vic Fangio defense, the more hats you can wear on the defensive side of the ball, right? Zach Bond's there healthy, right? You maybe you put Jahad Campbell in there at the other linebacker spot until Nakobe Dean's healthy. Maybe these guys can both play off each other and utilize their elite versatility. And you could have Zach Bond rush sometimes and Jahad Campbell rush sometimes. Or you have Jahad Campbell and just say, yeah, we're going to work him as an edge rusher. We can play him at linebacker. Maybe there's injuries and we're in a pinch. But I want Jahad Campbell to rotate in with Jalex Hunt and rotate in with Nolan Smith as part of this pass rush, because there's just as many scouts that think that that could be his future in the NFL. So I wish maybe there was a more exciting, different pick to do something a little different from our first mock draft, but we play the board that we're dealt, and I think Jahad Campbell, if he's on the board at 32, would be a perfect slam dunk pick for the Philadelphia Eagles. It's a pretty generous offer there from old Tom Brady. I don't want that one from the Jags. Don't want that one from the Patriots. If you told me to move down 4 spots, you're willing to give me a 4th, a 5th, a 6th? I think I'd make that trade every day of the week. So we'll wait just a second here before our picks. One thing I do want to say, because of positions of need, right? Guard is something that people are talking about as, if we lose Mekhi Becton, we need to go get a guard. I think for that guard spot, whether we keep Mekhi Becton or not, I think you got to roll with Steen. Here's a look at the RAS scores here. Ratledge is a big name. He's like the big guard from this year's combine. He put up a 9.98. Thought about mocking him to the Eagles here, but I was like, look at Steen. I remember Steen put up a RAS. We talked about at the very beginning, a 9.92 for Tyler Steen. Then if you want to compare it with like Mekhi Becton. We love what we had in Mekhi Becton. Is Steen ready? Like, again, you compare them as guards, as tackles and or guards in almost any conversation. Tyler Steen is comparable athletically. Now, did not love the vibes of Philly just being like, well, we're going to try Mekhi Becton at guard. It almost felt like something Tyler Steen did made Stoutland go, what else do we have at this position? Which is not a great feeling for a guy that was a decent investment in what we got him, the 3rd round out of Alabama. But I think the fact of the matter is, if they lose Mekhi Becton, I think there's an argument to be made that Tyler Steen's as athletic as anyone we could bring in at that guard spot in this draft. Just let him go. Like, maybe you get a guard a little bit later on to be depth, but I think ultimately how I'm viewing that position, let Steen get the opportunity if they decide they do not want to re-sign or can't afford to bring back Mekhi Becton. So with the first pick of the 3rd round, I'm going to go George Bullock. He's way off here on the rankings. That's just hasn't yet to be upgraded. We're going to look at Tyrion Ingram Dawkins. Out of Georgia. We all know the Georgia memes. But hear me out. Former 5-star recruit. Howie Roseman likes him high. Milton Williams had 4.5 sacks his final year at Louisiana Tech. Ingram Dawkins, 3.5 sacks for the Georgia Bulldogs. Level of talent, a little bit out there. We'll be interested to see what the bench is going to be, because that's definitely what set Milton Williams apart as an undersized pass rusher. That he just, 284, but he's as strong and put up better numbers. Shorter arms, but as strong and put up as good numbers as, the 330-pound nose tackles with that 34 bench. Outstanding. But a 9.96 RAS to a 9.93 RAS, very similar athletes, even though you're giving the edge to Milton Williams, who's borderline generational for a defensive tackle spot. And yeah, that word gets thrown around, but these are literally all-time numbers for Milton Williams from an athletic standpoint. And being able to get something similar in the interior with Ingram Dawkins and having him come in on the team, he'd be able to, the Georgia Bulldog pipeline, former 5-star recruit, has a lot more upside with just kind of buried on the rotation there for the Georgia Bulldogs. You have him and Moro Ojomo kind of tag team the Milton Williams reps. I think that's a pretty good path forward for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's going to be a big riser right now. I wouldn't trust that mock site. Ingram Dawkins, third round might be his floor. In the third round, I'm getting my favorite tight end in the class. We're going to select Terrence Ferguson, and pretty much every time he's going to be available around this pick, that is where I'm going to go out of Oregon. So outside of the big two who didn't test this combine weekend in Tyler Warren and Colson Loveland, we saw a lot of not great athletes at the tight end spot, unfortunately. If we are to compare Terrence Ferguson to, say, Dallas Goedert, the Philadelphia Eagles need depth behind Dallas Goedert. We don't just need someone that can come in and offer us the receiving game of Dallas Goedert, which we have in Grant Calcaterra. We need to do it all tight end. We need someone that can block. We need someone that can be a chain mover. We need someone that can, challenge downfield. We need someone that can operate on those screen passes. And I think we get a little bit more of that in Terrence Ferguson, who ended up putting a 9.8 RAS. He's been a productive player for Oregon, maybe slightly underperforming for, I think, the talent level. And Oregon has been a pass-happy team from time to time. But I think you're just getting similar athletes, 39-inch vertical, running a 4.63. Ferguson would immediately be able to come in, upgrade at tight end 2, and I don't want to say necessarily it's an elephant in the room, but if you're looking at the Philadelphia Eagles roster as a whole and say who could unfortunately be a salary cap cut, it might be the really solid, really good tight end that struggles to be available in Dallas Goedert. I don't know if that'd be this year. I don't know if that'd be a conversation that you'd have next year, but I don't think it's too early to start looking for a successor. Very similar to the Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz situation. And if Ferguson is there for the Eagles, I would love that selection. Next up in the fourth round, I'm going to select a player that honestly, I'm ashamed that wasn't high enough on my radar. I love watching the drills. One year, I live tweeted while watching the drills. It was Kenny Golladay. Now, Kenny Golladay, when he went to the Giants, absolute meme. Kenny Golladay, for a minute there, was a beast for the Detroit Lions. It was like a mid-round pick, but I saw him during the on-field drills. I was like, holy, this guy, who is this guy? This guy looks incredible. He's standing above the rest. He just looks different going through these drills. I got similar vibes when I was watching Braden Swinson out of LSU. This is now like our BG replacement. If you're looking at, the guys that are leaving the Philadelphia Eagles and we got to get guys coming back in, we need another part of that pass rush. That's an edge rusher. Someone like Jahad Campbell's a hybrid. You can use him as a pass rusher on and off. Ingram Dawkins is going to be on the interior. That's your Milton Williams. We need someone that is purely going to be a pass rush. And with Swinson, didn't get athletic testing, but he has gigantic alien arms, and I use that as a compliment. Huge wingspan, and just was so smooth during the on-field drills. I was like, holy. And then I looked at his stats. This cat had 13 TFLs, 8.5 sacks in SEC play. Got an 83 PFF grade, 9 sacks, 43 hurries. So it's still not a complete report card, if you will. He's going to test at the LSU Pro Day. But if you're comparing him to a pass rusher, they'll be like last year in Jalix Hunt. Similar frame, 6'3", 250, 250. We had an upgrade here in the shuttle in 3-co, and he put up some of the best numbers for the pass rush. So he's giving off the vibes of a pass rusher that Vic Fangio very much would like. And I think they're right, now we're done. We have fully invested on the defensive line in the trenches, and Howie Roseman can now look at other positions. The only bummer is with that pick, unfortunately, Cam Scatabo was still on the board at running back. And that's just for me. I would love Cam Scatabo on the team. But running back's an interesting spot for Philadelphia. I've said before in my videos, I truly do believe, much like Howie Roseman being like, Nick, you can promote Kevin Patullo. I'm going to let you give that little bit of power back for winning us the Super Bowl. I also think Howie Roseman would be like, Nick, I know your favorite player on the team. He's gone on record saying it's Kenny Gainwell. We'll probably bring back Kenny Gainwell. If you bring back Kenny Gainwell, you have Will Shipley. Philly's pretty good at running back right there. But if Cam Scatabo's on the board, oh, man. Come on. Exciting whites. Here's going to be, I don't want to say a throwaway pick. It's just something I thought was interesting. We're going to select Jarrett Wilson, the center from Georgia, here in the fourth round. Now, Cam Jurgens is having a back surgery, his back injury. This is similar, and I hope everything goes well. Cam Jurgens, awesome season last year. The pressure of replacing Jason Kelsey did that, and even more so for how he played last year. But it reminds me of when J.J. Watt hurt his back, right? And he was never the same type of player again. Is that something that Philadelphia needs to be somewhat conscious of? Because they met Jared Wilson at the Combine. I don't think Jared Wilson can play guard. I'm pretty sure he's almost an exclusive center. He made the switch from a linebacker to the offensive line. Now, if we want to compare the two, I'm starting to see why they'd be interested. Jared Wilson ran a 4.84, some of the biggest numbers. There were actually people who thought that was a little slow for him. I saw some of the people in the scouting community saying he was 4.7. He was going to be the talk of the town after the Combine. You are very much gambling on an athlete here. Again, as someone that has just recently, in his time in college, made the switch from defense to offense, still learning the position, but you're gambling on the athletic traits. That's why he would be going this high. Are the Eagles a little concerned about whatever needs to go on for Cam Jurgens to get healthy? Is he going to be the same play after that? Because I bring up JJ Watt. You guys know anybody in your life? Now, these guys are superhuman athletes, NFL players, different. But like, think of your parents. Think of like your dad, your uncle, any older brother. At some point, you know someone that hurt their back once, like doing anything, falling on ice while they're moving, picking up something heavy. It bothers them for the rest of their life. The back injury is like the scariest injury because no one ever really fully recovers from a bad back injury. So Cam Jurgens is probably different. The fact that he was able to play through that injury during that playoff run, epic. Him and Landon Dickerson, absolute warriors. But the fact that Philadelphia is showing interest in Wilson, the fact that Cam Jurgens come contract extension time, we assume Howie Roseman does the right thing. But eventually, there's going to be good players that leave Philadelphia over the next couple of years because of our big contracts. Are they a little worried about like Cam Jurgens with the back injury? Do we give him a long-term extension? Or do we get someone else in the pipeline that could be a successor? Or maybe the more you can do with Jared Wilson. So that is why we're going to have that pick. Purely insurance, because is like Jurgens going to be good to go next year? Like, what's the recovery time on what he's getting done? So it's very much up in the air. And I thought it was very interesting the Philadelphia Eagles took a meeting with Jared Wilson. I bet you had Stout kind of sniffing around, being like, well, we need an insurance policy. Depending on what happens with Jurgens, and you're looking 4th round, that's a perfect time to take a flyer on an athlete of his caliber. You know what? Honestly, too, if Jurgens does play and it's still like, all right, Wilson's just depth. He's a guy that can slide around the inside. Put him at fullback. He would be incredible as a lead blocking fullback. As much as I like Ben Van Summeren, more you can do. I'd like to go look and add into the secondary depth another player the Philadelphia Eagles met with, Noel Williams out of Cal, who was the best ball hawk in all of college football last season. Graded out with an 80 PFF grade, 3 pick sixes, 7 total interceptions for the 6'1", 200-pound corner. So I'm not going to use this to compare the two athletically, but Slay's likely the name that's leaving. Seems like, writing on the wall there, unfortunately. Isaiah Rodgers, James Bradbury. There's going to be some turnover in the secondary for the Philadelphia Eagles. So the fact that they showed interest in Williams, who's a ball hawk, kind of reminds me similar to Rasul Douglas. Rasul Douglas had a breakout year at West Virginia. I think he had 6 or 7 picks as well. So it's something that gets Howie Roseman's juices flowing when you get a lot of turnovers like that in a secondary. I think Williams could be very, very nice depth and challenge to compete for the back end of the roster with like your Eli Ricks and Keely Ringos. Oh, pick 162, we're going to go with Bashal Tutin, running back from Virginia Tech. He ran the fastest 40-yard dash for a running back. That is not the only reason why I'm picking it, but I would love to have that kind of juice in the backfield. You get this guy, could be a little bit of a return man, but this is going to be my contingency of like, if we don't bring back Kenny Gainwell, Philadelphia will be looking for a running back. Plus, we could still technically even look for one if they decide they want to carry 4 or have that classic, like, keep elevating a guy at the practice squad and sending one down. 4 running backs has been something Philly has done, and Tutin showed out at the Combine. So just comparing the two, a little bit different type of athletes, similar body frame. Both, for whatever reason, didn't have the best like agility testing, but pure speed, you're giving the edge to Tutin. I think many people, myself included, would love to see Kenny Gainwell back, but the fact of the matter is Philadelphia is going to be very tight with its budget. Is it going to be feasible? Even if Nick Sirianni's pal at the table saying we got to bring back Kenny G, we got to bring back Kenny G, Saquon, bring him back. It might just not work out. He might want to take more money elsewhere. He's earned that right. I think Kenny Gainwell could definitely do with a bigger plate, if you know what I'm saying, for him eating. That said, Tutin brings prolific speed to the backfield. Gadget plays absolutely open up. I'd line him in the slot and have him run end arounds with that 4.3 speed. The better, more athletes you can get on the field, the better. I think this would be a terrific opportunity if he falls here to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now in the 5th round, we have 2 players that I think can make a lot of sense to the Eagles. I'm going to go just because it's off the Combine, the one that tested we're going to take a look at the newest member of Jeff Stoutland U, Jalen Travis out of Ohio State. Jalen Travis is a specimen. Him or Holland Pierce, I think both would make great candidates. They're both like 6'7", 6'8", 340 pounds. The Jordan Mailata types, if you will. But comparing him to the GOAT offensive lineman at the combine in Lane Johnson, I don't think there ever will be someone that's better than Lane. He's comparable. Be interested to see the bench press. Long arms is tough. Like 28 for, 35-inch arms for Lane Johnson is very impressive. But for a guy that's, 6'7", 340, running almost a sub 540, the vert is off the charts. The broad is off the charts. So he has elite explosiveness. I think perfect candidate for Jeff Stoutland U. And if Philadelphia is going to look and start thinking about who's going to be our Lane Johnson successor, who's going to be our new swing tackle, there's my candidate, subject one for Jeff Stoutland U from this draft. Next up, I'm getting a new member of the Exciting Whites, Isaac Tesla, wide receiver from Arkansas, was a small school transfer, had big time production everywhere he's gone. So taking a look at the newest member of the Exciting Whites, Isaac Tesla, in comparison just to A.J. Brown, to give you an athletic comparison. Tesla dominated at Hillsdale College, smaller school. I think I said he had almost 1,400 yards, 13 touchdowns. Went to Arkansas, who has a very limited passing offense. I think he had about 600 yards last year. But undeniable traits. 6'3", 214, ran a 4.43 and 9.97 RAS. Now, clearly at this point, when you're picking bottom end of the draft, for me, and how Howie Roseman's been drafting, he is looking for athletes with this type of profile. And I think when you're the Philadelphia Eagles, you're looking at someone that can challenge. Britton Covey, is he still going to be here? Jahan Dotson only got 1 year left in his contract. Is he going to get an extension? Johnny Wilson, is he going to be able to elevate his game? Anaya Smith, he's something on the roster, but I think you bring in an athlete like this, you see what he has. You see if this guy, can he be the Quez Watkins? Can he be the guy that just gets one shot play every 2 weeks and it works? That'd be cool to have. And then lastly, for the Philadelphia Eagles, I got to get a Florida Gator on here. We're going to go Cam Jackson, who is out and out and all run defender, 6'5", 330-plus pounds. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles, maybe that's an area they'd want to beef up, is get someone next to Jordan Davis that's just that rundown defender. And Howie Roseman needs to start showing a little bit more TLC for some Florida Gators on the team. He's not going to put him a big ras. He's a pure out nose tackle. But I'd love to see a Gator get sprinkled into the Eagles roster. So there you go. We obviously had a huge trade, which kind of changed the draft picks that we did have available to us. I'd be happy with this. Alabama, Georgia, classic Howie picks. You know what I'm saying? We got some high-raz athletes. Got a new member of Jeff Stoutland U, Tootin. Honestly, I'd almost view him a little bit as like a better, like however they try to like fit Anaya Smith in the offense. I think you could utilize that with Tootin, as well as if we lose Kenny Gainwell, there'd be something there. Wilson's an interesting one. Contingency plan, insurance policy, the Cam Jurgens. And we're showing a lot of love on that defensive front the way Howie Roseman does. So love to hear what you guys think. Who from Combine Weekend has certainly risen up with your boys that you want to see the Philadelphia Eagles draft? Let me know in the comment section below. I will be back. I have another video planned for this week. I'm doing a stay or go, where I'm going to go through the Eagles roster, pending free agents, trade potential, and say, should the Philadelphia Eagles keep them? Should they try to trade them? Should this guy walk in free agency? So that will be coming at some point this week. So make sure you stay tuned to the sub boxes. Thank you guys very much for watching. If it is your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. And until next time, it's your boy C4 saying peace out. Love ya. Have a good one. Go Birds!